Evander Holyfield is full of crap. He's full of crap. Evander Holyfield used to be one of the first boxers that I looked up to. He was one of the first boxers that I idolized. You know, especially as a kid. A kid is going to look up to any person that's built like He-Man. They're going to look up to anybody who's, you know what I'm saying, who's muscular and broad shoulders and all that other stuff. I mean, you're a kid. You know, people built like that is the closest thing to superheroes. So as a kid, you naturally want to emulate that and imitate that. And Evander Holyfield was one of those boxers for me. But Evander Holyfield is full of shit, you know. And it's to the point now, I can't support him no more, you know. And I can't back him up. I appreciate what he did in the boxing world. But beyond that, I have to say that he's a shell of a man. You know, that's something that I have to say about him. Now, I want you guys to look at this picture right here. Do you guys remember this when all these old American heavyweight boxers sit up here and literally had a press conference about Anthony Joshua? Think about that for a second. These guys sit up there and had a press conference about the most achieved, the only unified heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying? They sit up here and criticize the heavyweight that has done the most in the heavyweight division. Just think about that for a second. These dudes literally woke up in the morning, got dressed, took a shower, whatever, drove down there, sat in front of a camera, scoot a mic in front of their mouth, and had the nerve to criticize the man who has unified more belts than any American heavyweight champion since these guys have been boxing. Period. Okay? And when it comes to Evander Holyfield is the American version of Lennox Lewis. These two men obviously have a business connection or something. These two men are obviously getting their palms greased. These two men obviously have an agenda, okay? But it's kind of hard for me to figure out what Evander Holyfield's real problem is. But when it comes to Evander Holyfield strikes me as a person that is jealous of Anthony Joshua strictly because of his money. Strictly because of money. Okay? Now, when it comes to Lennox Lewis, I don't get that vibe with Lennox Lewis. I think Lennox Lewis dislikes and hate on Anthony Joshua strictly because the way Anthony Joshua was loved, and he never got that. I don't care what he says. You know what I'm saying? If he denied it, it's almost inhuman. For him not to feel some kind of way, some kind of jealousy, some kind of envy about Anthony Joshua and the way he was loved and received in the UK, if he tried to sit here and say that doesn't affect him and he doesn't care about that, and that has no sway on how he speaks and talks about Anthony Joshua, that is a lie, okay? Lennox Lewis was hated on both fronts, from the U.S. and from the UK. Both sides don't like him. I mean, that's why he living in Canada. You know what I'm saying? UK don't care nothing about him, and we don't care nothing about him, so he go over there to another country in Canada. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. But these two men obviously get an incentive for saying what they say because it logically makes no sense. And what's even more incriminating is Evander Holyfield. And I'm finna show you why in a minute. You know, because it makes no sense for a ex-heavyweight, undisputed himself, to be siding with a man who's done so little in the sport versus a man who's almost duplicated what he has done. It makes no sense. But let me show you why Evander Holyfield is completely full of crap and you can't trust nothing this man says.
Listen, I'm the only fighter. I'm the only fighter didn't go against the rules and regulation. If the rules and regulations said you got a mandatory fight, I'll fought the guy. I didn't say, well, he ain't good enough. I said, how many fighters have said the other fighter wasn't good enough and went fight a guy?
Yeah.
Is I supposed to talk to the guy? I fought the guy.
The thing about it, a king don't chase a peasant. King chase kings.
Is I supposed to talk to the guy? I fought the guy.
That's what it was.
I said to him, I'll fight you, but one is going to agree that there's no second mandatory, there's no waiting 6 months, no waiting 1 year. You fight me next. No one else apart from me. A while to go, oh, I ain't signing that. And then he also said to me, private message, oh, I'm going to make you wait 2 years. I'm like, why? You getting paid career high money.
Well, the text do that?
Yeah. I can show you the text.
Wow.
Like, I can show you the text.
Show. I have to show it.
There you go.
Tell your promoters to give me what I want. get it on easy. Because honestly, I don't have to do anything for at least 2 years. Get out.
Oh, wow. Well,
Get out.
oh, wow.
And a lot of times you'll see guys go around mandatories these days. They'll pay
Well,
step
but
aside money.
Like that was saying, I'm like, no, it's not supposed to fight you, I'll fight you.
You see the Wilder fight recently?
And what's the plan if he doesn't give you that fight?
If he don't give me that fight, then we got other plans, other routes that we have. You know, they trying to give me a peasant, as in Dylan White.
Now, do you see that? How are you going to sit up here and say the difference between you and everybody else is you didn't hide from anybody, and if they asked you to fight them, you fought them, okay? Yet you want to criticize Anthony Joshua but praise Deontay Wilder. And this is the crazy part. Is he not aware that Deontay Wilder has had a mandatory in Dylan White for over 600 days, and they threatened to sue this man in order to fight him? Just think about that. And to add insult to injury, this is the same man that sent Dylan White, okay? Sent Dylan White a text message saying he's going to freeze him out for 2 years. This man just got done saying the difference between him and everybody else is he fought everybody and he followed the rules. And if they say fought him, he fought him. Yet he talks crap about Anthony Joshua and then praises Deontay Wilder. When Anthony Joshua is more of a duplicate, is more of a representation of what he did versus Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua is more like Evander Holyfield than Deontay Wilder is like Holyfield. That makes no sense whatsoever. You say, guys talk about, oh, he ain't nobody. Wilder just sit up there and said, this dude is a peasant. He just did the very thing which Evander Holyfield just shot down. But do you notice how he can recognize that when he's talking about himself? But he can't recognize that or bring that up when he speaks about Deontay Wilder. But he has something magically to say about Anthony Joshua? No, man. No. Evander Holyfield, you being fake. All right? You being fake and you destroying any little bit of love that I got for you left. Because as a man, I can't respect nothing like that. Okay, if they paying you on the side, I understand you got to get some money or whatever. But it's easier ways to make a buck, and you ain't got to sacrifice yourself, and you ain't got to shit on your fellow man. I don't care if he's from the UK or wherever. You should praise anybody who brings money to the sport, okay? He brought attention and money back to the sport that was dying. Okay? And you guys attack the person who brings attention to the sport. This is why I'm so quick to defend him, because Anthony Joshua represents more to me than him just boxing in the heavyweight division. He breathed new life into the fucking sport. You can't deny that. And if this is how you treat a man who has done in the sport what you require and what you expect other boxers to do, why in the hell would anybody try to pursue what Anthony Joshua has done when you could be the most highest ranked and the highest achieved heavyweight boxer and get treated like you've been fighting bums your entire career, and then treat the cherry picker like they have been the one doing what Anthony Joshua's been doing? That's why this is so wrong. That's why it's so important to keep it real. That's why it's so important to tell the truth. Because what you do to Anthony Joshua, you think you're hurting him. In a totality, you are hurting boxing. Because y'all complain about these boxers caring about this, right? You know what I'm saying? They don't want to fight. Oh, it's the Mayweather effect. They don't want to fight. They don't want to fight this, that. Well, you're doing the same thing to Anthony Joshua in the heavyweight division, okay? Just like you're pissed how they don't want to fight. Who in the hell want to be the next Anthony Joshua? And they're going to say, look, Anthony Joshua unified the division. He almost became undisputed, and they treated him like he's been fighting Dominic Breazeale's all his career. Why in the hell do I even care to even achieve what this man tried to achieve? I'm just going to go ahead and make the best strategic move, make it look like I'm really doing something, when really I'm doing a little bit of work, because it doesn't even really matter, because these people don't appreciate real, true work ethic and achievement. Because when a man gave them that, this is the one that we chose to tore down, and we built up the bum slayer. That's why you're bad for boxing. Holyfield, Wildettes, Wilder Knights, LDBC, 78 Burgers, Fanny Nanny. This is why y'all are so fucked up for the sport. Because y'all swear y'all think y'all doing something to help the sport when y'all really stabbing the sport in the back and digging a ditch for it. It just climbed out of the grave. Okay, you seen the power of one man. All right, we don't have a whole bunch of Canelos, bunch of Joshuas, bunch of Mayweathers. We ain't got that. Okay, we need to hold on to every little star that we can. But this just goes to show you, when it comes to Lennox Lewis, when it comes to Evander Holyfield, these guys got an agenda, and it is obvious. This video proves it without a doubt. Ain't shit you can say. This is why when it comes to Evander Holyfield, from now on, I'm going to let him fall by the wayside, because I'm going to tell you why. Evander Holyfield, I overlooked the fact that you headbutted every fucking body. I overlooked the fact that you were a heavy PED user, okay? You were next to Manny Pacquiao, bro. And I'm just being real, okay? Let me tell you guys something about Evander Holyfield that you don't know, okay? Evander Holyfield was so known. Well, I'm not going to say it was known, but at least to me, in my camp, in my family, you know what I'm saying, and how we know about boxing, it was so known that Evander Holyfield took PEDs, okay? And I'm going to tell you why, okay? How many, please listen to this. How many boxers do you know would purposely hire a bodybuilder as a trainer? That is against every boxing rule book in the world. There's only one person that did it. Evander Holyfield hired Lee Haney as his trainer. Most people will tell you the same stuff that they tell you about Anthony Joshua. Too much muscle, right? Too bulky, right? It'll slow you down, right? You don't want to be rigid, right? You don't want to be robotic, right? So why would a boxer hire a bodybuilder as a trainer? Because as you know, bodybuilding is not strength training, okay? Bodybuilding is sculpting the body, making the muscle appear to look better. It doesn't mean it's necessarily stronger. This is why strongman contests, that's why they don't look like bodybuilders, okay? Usually the strongest man is kind of doughy looking. He's not ripped up from the feet up. You know what I'm saying? Just compare a bodybuilder and compare these strongman guys. They have two different kind of physiques. That's because it's two different kind of training. So why would you get a bodybuilder, okay, to train you when you are a boxer, okay? I'm going to tell you why, and it's the only channel that you're going to hear this from. But now you're going to know why he hired Lee Haney. That's because Lee Haney knew how to cycle off steroids. Period. Fact. That's a fact. Okay? That's a fact. Lee Haney knew how to manipulate steroids. That's why he hired him. Okay? Because there's no reason a bodybuilder, there's no reason a boxer needs to hire a bodybuilder other than his knowledge of PEDs and cycling off steroids. Period. Okay? So that's a jewel that you could take with you from now on. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I always known about this man that nobody ever talked about. Okay? Everybody overlook his drug use. Okay? Because he was such a great champion. But don't get it twisted. Evander Holyfield was heavy into using steroids. Now, at the same time, I don't contribute his physique to steroids either. You have to understand what steroids do. Evander Holyfield naturally has a good set of genetics. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's his genes right there. You know what I'm saying? It's just helped by some steroids. And that's the same thing with when people talk about Anthony Joshua. You have to understand, you could take you could take steroids till you blue in the face. You are not going to look like Anthony Joshua. You must first have a base to work with. You know what I'm saying? You first have to have a base. That's what I forgot what that old school bodybuilder that said. He said that's the difference between bodybuilders of back then and bodybuilders of today. They're trying to put rims on a Pinto. When we bodybuild, we already had a foundation to work with. We already had a good set of genetics, you know what I'm saying, going for us already. You know what I'm saying? We had something to work with. We had a foundation to work with. The problem is these guys don't have a foundation and they trying to pretend like they do. But I'm not going to take none of that slander or none of that bull crap from Evander Holyfield when he just tried to praise Deontay Wilder, and you praise the same man who does the same thing that you denounce as a fighter. But you want to go ahead and crap and shit on the most achieved heavyweight in boxing currently today. Well, I'm sorry, that would be Andy Ruiz right now. But you guys know what I'm saying. That's why when it comes to Evander Holyfield, that's why when it comes to Lennox Lewis, these guys are full of it, and you can't trust nothing that they say because they obviously have ulterior motives, whether it's out of pure jealousy or whether somebody's paying them. And trust me, when you see a whole bunch of heavyweights get up and have a press conference about another heavyweight, there's incentives behind what they're saying. Because when have you ever seen that done for anybody else? Okay? If anybody needs to hold a press conference on a boxer ducking, wouldn't you think that would be the boxer that got to get sued to get inside the ring with his mandatory? These guys, man. Anyways, that's my thoughts. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Bruce Wayne, I'm out.
It's best you be a gentleman and you watch what you say.